When we talk about reading something, it's only natural to think of the printed work, of books and magazines and text messages. But we are a visual people, and we read so much more than words. We read facial expressions and body language and images. And because images or photographs can be read, we need to take a few minutes to examine the compositional elements that can contribute to the way we read them. Like authors of written text, photographers and artists construct their visual text to be read in certain ways. First, let's look at color. We all know that color can impact mood or evoke emotion. High-energy colors are red and orange. Red is a passionate color and can elevate excitability. Orange is less stimulating because it has some yellow mixed in, but our eyes are naturally drawn to these colors. This explains why the color red is often used on the labels of products you find in the grocery store. The energizing factor of red is also why it isn't recommended as the dominant color of a toddler's bedroom. Might make nap time difficult. The color yellow is bright and joyful. Blues and greens are calm colors and can have a soothing effect, even lowering blood pressure. You'll find these colors on the walls of vacation rentals for just that reason. When you are looking at a picture, your eyes will be drawn to the brighter colors. The brightly colored object is often the focal point or emphasis in a picture. But photographers also use other elements to help direct your focus to where they want it to be. These elements can also be used to create an emotional response. Often they use these elements to help communicate a message or theme. Let's take a look at some of them. Aside from color, when trying to read a picture, you could also look at contrast and lighting. High contrast images, extremes of black and white, can look stark or tense. They make for very dramatic scenes. Low contrast images, those that use primarily shades of gray, look softer, either more bland or possibly ethereal. Similar to contrast is key lighting. If an image has high key lighting, its contrasting shades are lighter, in the white to lighter gray range. And low key lighting has contrasting shades of gray and black. Each type of key lighting produces its own effect and is a clue as to how the image should be read. How you read a photograph may be influenced by the use of light. The high-key example of James Stewart feels a little safer than the low-key example that could feel more ominous. Aside from color and contrast, photographers also use lines to help direct the eye to focal points or to set tone. Look for the lines as you read a photograph. Vertical lines add a sense of height to the image and also strength. They can have an imposing effect. Horizontal lines can create a relaxing or soothing mood. But too many lines intersecting can feel tense or chaotic. Curved lines mimic some of nature's relaxing images. Curved lines convey movement, so they are soothing, like a stream that runs through the picture. They force the eye to wander through various parts of the image. Diagonal lines are also very effective in directing the eye across an image, and convergent lines, lines that begin wide and move closer together within the picture, force you to look in that direction. Take a look at the image on the right. Notice the lines on the benches beginning to converge. With convergent lines, as illustrated in the photograph on the upper right, the photographer or image creator is leading your eyes to his intended focal point. These lines also give a feeling of depth, or of something vast or endless. Another way that an image can be read is by looking at its framing. By framing, I'm not talking about the wooden or metal frame around the photograph. I'm talking about the image itself. Just like the selection of color or contrast or lines, the photographer selects his or her framing of the picture for a reason. One reason might be to give you some context. What is included in the frame could be more information on the location or time period. When we take a picture, every image we capture is its own frame. Photographers decide what to include and not include in the frame. In this shot, what if the photographer had chosen to simply capture the face of an elderly woman? What story does this image tell? But the actual framing of the photographer's image tells another story. How is this message different when we examine the image within a larger context? The woman is near the center, but she is almost lost in the sea of faces. She is looking out of the frame, unlike the people around her. She is of a different generation. She's the only person not enjoying the scene through the use of technology. She is living in the moment. This image tells a different story. Framing can also determine the focal point of the photo, where the photographer wants your eye to go, which in turn impacts the message. In the first photo, we read one message. In the next photo, we read something else. But both images combined create a different message. The message conveyed by the last photo is much more complex than the message sent by either of the first two photos. Framing can also create emotion. Close-ups can feel tight and claustrophobic, or framing can add depth to the image, imply a sense of space or freedom. All of these elements, and there are actually more, are tools for the artist or photographer. The creator of the image can use them to evoke in the viewer many feelings or emotions, in much the same way that an author uses words and phrases and punctuation. When reading an image or a photograph, you should be asking yourself questions about the author's purpose. Does the image send me a message? What do I feel when I look at it? What was the photographer wanting me to see or feel? And more importantly, how can I tell? Reading a visual image can be done critically, just like you can read a text critically. Words and images both send messages.